Good evening, friends, and welcome to Sleepy Time Tales, a sleep aid podcast aimed at helping you to get a good night's sleep. Do you find that your mind gets plagued with the stresses of modern life? Do you find that when the lights are out and you're trying to get a restful night, you find your mind is spinning and churning? Follow my voice down the path towards a good night's rest. Listen to me tell a story that will keep your mind from wandering to your daytime problems. After all, you can't solve those right now anyway, and it'll probably be easier in the morning if you're well rested. Listen to my voice and allow yourself to drift, following the twists and turns, but slowly letting go and drifting into the deep night. Before we go any further, I just need to do a few little pieces of housekeeping. The last few episodes I've tried not to mention too much about the Patreon, but I've made some changes and I think it may be interesting to a few more listeners. I've completely dropped the $10 level. I set myself quite a lot of work there for having no $10 backers yet at the moment, so I decided to focus on the $1 and $5 levels. All content that I have released so far at $10 is now available for $5 patrons, including my one movie review episode that I've done. And going forward, all story-only episodes will also be released for $5 level tier patrons. I've got something coming up pretty cool soon that is going to tie into Radio Public listeners as well as the Patreon. I'm going to release every week. There's going to be a very short episode I'm nicknaming Catnaps. They're going to be about 10, 15, maximum 20-minute episodes. Those will be released once a week around midweek. And those will only go to Patreon, the patrons on Patreon at the $1 and higher levels, as well as for free on Radio Public. So it'll be the only place that you can listen to those episodes. It's a little bit of something fresh to start listening to early in the evening, so that hopefully, especially once you've been listening for a while and you're in the habit of falling asleep to my voice, those will be good enough to help you get to sleep before you need to get to the meat of an episode. I'm also just want to remind people about affiliate links from my website, sleepytimetales.net. At the moment, I'm signed up for the Amazon affiliate program, so if you want to take a look at anything there through that, I link to quite a lot of interesting sort of bedding and pillows and beds and products that should help you get a restful night. Also a reminder that on the website I've got a little tip jar that if you don't want to back monthly, you can, if this show is helping you and if I'm helping you get a good night's sleep fairly regularly, you can throw a little bit of something my way. Although I do think now that I've got doing a little bit more for the $1 patrons on Patreon, that may even be more worth your while. At least you get something for your money. $1 a month will get you 4 bonus episodes if there's 4 weeks in the month, so that's pretty cool. Also a reminder to swing by the website where you can see there will be links to subscribe on the various services, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and obviously Radio Public, which is the one I'm recommending because that puts in advertising and potentially can help me cover costs and start doing a bit of an equipment upgrade. The music in this episode and all episodes thus far is Un Désert by Kumiku. Their music is available on the Free Music Archive. I've also linked their website and their Patreon in the show notes, as they have some very cool stuff that they've got released under various different names and sort of to different themes that I recommend checking out. So what exactly is Sleepy Time Tales, and what is a sleep aid podcast? To answer your question, let me start with a common problem. Are you one of those people that finds yourself lying awake at night with your mind spinning and your emotions in turmoil? Are the anxieties of 21st century life keeping you from a good night's rest? Do you wake up in the middle of the night and find that you can't quite doze back off at 3 a.m.? I'm here to help. My name is Dave, and I'm your narrator, here to talk you into a restful night. I'm someone who has struggled to sleep ever since I was a baby. My parents had sleepless nights with me for many years, and even once I got old enough not to have to hassle them in the middle of the night anymore, I still struggled to sleep. It was embarrassingly late in my life that I discovered that droning male voices have a tendency to switch my lights out. I discovered it when I was listening to podcasts at night in bed, and I'd wake up and find myself listening to the end credit music, having missed the whole purpose of what I was listening for. I eventually started to actually even listen to podcasts specifically for the purpose of falling asleep. And I eventually found out that sleep aid podcasts are a thing. I tried out one that worked quite well for me, especially designed for the purpose of distracting the restless mind. While it worked very well for me, when I recommended it to others, they didn't necessarily like the narrator's voice. There wasn't anything else quite like it that I could find, so I wondered if I could make an alternative with my droning, boring voice, and here it is. Every episode starts out with this introduction, which goes on for a little while. There's a reason for it, though, not just to annoy the listener. The purpose is for me to explain the structure to new listeners, the thinking behind Sleepy Time Tales, and how to make use of it, and myself to help you sleep. And the other part of it is older listeners who've been here a while. This is their chance to sort of start prepping themselves to sleep. Now is the time to prepare your space, to get yourself tucked into bed, or, well, first things first, have a glass of water, make sure you got something near you, make sure all your lights are out, tuck yourself into bed, make sure you're warm but not too warm. The idea is that you start settling down and we together start building a space, a place for you to take refuge from stresses and worries. The idea is that as I tell you the story, you listen to me fairly closely as I tell you tonight's story, that you listen and stop the spinning mind that prevents you from having a restful night's sleep. Tonight is the last episode of the first season of Twin Peaks. I've actually decided that at the end of the first season, it's the end of the first season now, in episode 20, which feels like quite a major milestone. It's time for me to possibly make some changes, and the download numbers for the Twin Peaks episodes are far and away the worst, so obviously not too many people are enjoying them, so I'm going to be moving on to something else. While I'm telling you the story about tonight's episode, though, your mind needs to just listen to me, but don't. The point is to keep your mind engaged, but not so engaged that you're just completely unable to, totally riveted and can't fall asleep. It's very important, though, to not force it. Keep a light mental grip on my voice and the thread of the story, but don't keep such a tight grip that it prevents you from falling asleep. I'm hoping that you're asleep before I get to the end of the episode, but it's important that you don't feel pressurized. If this is your first night, it may not work for you. It may take a few nights to develop the habit of falling asleep. After 2 or 3 or 4 nights, if all goes well and this ultimately is going to work for you, you'll probably find yourself falling asleep before you even get to the end of the promotional section of the episodes. It's very important, though, that you try to relax. If you're new to the show and prone to late nights staring at the ceiling, it may take a while, even a few days, for this to work for you. So start up the episode, or queue up a few, because one may not be enough for you. What I tend to do with sleep podcasts is I just let them stream all night. I lie down in the dark with my earbuds in and let them run. Sometimes when I wake up at 3 a.m, the stream is still running and I let the voice waft me back to sleep. Sometimes I wake up 30 minutes before my alarm goes. Usually I carry on listening and I still go right back to sleep. I got to tell you now that sometimes that 30 minutes is sometimes the best part of my night, the most restful part. For some reason, allowing yourself to just relax completely right before the alarm is just very deeply satisfying. And so you have the basic idea. You relax and you lie in the dark, and while you do that, I'll tell you a tale. So relax, dear listener, my nighttime friend who's elected to lie in the dark, listening to my voice. You'll always be safe with me. I'm here to help you relax, to improve your life in a small way, or maybe not so small. People don't sleep very well these days, and it makes their lives harder. So I'm here to do my small part to help you in a big way, to help you to face tomorrow and the day after, well rested and better able to cope and process. I believe very strongly in the benefits of kindness. I want to be kind to you. I want to share kindness with you. I want you to be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up or rebuke yourself over not sleeping. Don't get tense if you just can't get yourself over the edge of sleep, even with me here in your ears trying to help. Frustration is one of the greatest enemies of a good night's sleep. The intention with this podcast is to help undercut that frustration, to distract the feeling that we get when we blame ourselves for not being able to let go and drift into the dark. So take a breath, forgive the fact that you can't sleep, and let my voice wash over you and under you. Take another breath. Imagine the warm darkness rising up, inviting you to sleep into a better life starting tomorrow. And if you can't let go, forgive yourself and try again tomorrow. If you've had a life of insomnia, sleep sometimes feels like an enemy, but it's not your enemy. It's a natural process that we have been interrupted, or had interrupted, by stress of life and progress that shines bright lights in our eyes at all hours. I'm here to work with you, to create a safe space, a cocoon in which you can curl up and allow nature to take its course. So if you're still with me, thank you for staying. And if you're already asleep, we'll chat again soon. And of course, you aren't hearing me, except maybe in a dream. Twin Peaks, The Last Evening. Going through the previously on section of this episode, it actually something I noticed that is kind of, I think I've noticed it before, but never thought to mention it, although it's actually rather strange. We see in the previously on, we have the psychiatrist, Dr. Jacoby, Laura Palmer's psychiatrist. When he's alone, he wears glasses. He wears glasses most of the time. But when he's alone, the interesting thing is that his glasses have different colored lenses, like old-fashioned 3D glasses. One lens is blue and one lens is red. I don't know why someone would do that in the normal course of their day. It doesn't really do anything. But it just seems to suggest something a bit strange about Dr. Jacoby. But anyway, that's an aside at the moment. We start out now with a lot of these episodes start with a view of the moon. This one starts with the sun and surrounded with palm trees in the front. There's the sound of the sea and singing birds. The camera starts moving around the view, which we come to notice is flat. What we have is actually a large poster on the wall of Dr. Jacoby's office. The camera is panning around that, and it's not actually a tropical scene, unsurprisingly, considering Twin Peaks isn't anywhere remotely tropical, at least not by the looks of it. We see the camera pans to the door which opens, and Donna and James come in. They start digging through drawers, and James finds a box with a whole lot of drinks umbrellas. All of the umbrellas are tagged with the various places that Dr. Jacoby's been and had a cocktail by the looks of it. Bit of a strange thing. James and Donna find it odd as well, but then put the box back and carry on with what they're doing. The office, I think I've mentioned before, is decorated with, in a sort of Polynesian Hawaiian theme. There's tiki masks on the walls and leis and coconuts all over the place. While they're poking around, Donna comes to find some buttons mounted on the wall. Don't know if she thinks there's going to be a secret door or something, so she pushes one of the buttons and the music changes to something very loud. They scrambling around. She pushes the buttons a few times. It keeps changing to loud music, so they start scrambling around trying to find a way to turn it off. Eventually James finds something, but while Donna was scratching around, she found a coconut hanging up on something on the wall. I didn't notice what it was. I think it was a sort of coat stand or hat stand or something like that. She remembers the mention of Dr. Jacoby's coconuts on the tape Laura was listening to, the tape that Laura recorded that they listened to earlier. So she takes it down and opens it. They find another tape, and they found the missing heart necklace, which they buried in the woods in the first episode, that then vanished almost immediately as soon as they left it. We cut then to James and Donna getting on the bike, and they get on that and ride off. Bobby, who's been lurking in the shadows, comes out and points his fingers. They're making finger guns, and makes like he's shooting at them as they go. We then see Maddie, who's still waiting by the gazebo. There's Dr. Jacoby is crawling around in the bushes because he figured out where they filmed the tape that he got sent, right, and he didn't go to where she said that she was going to be waiting for him. Dr. Jacoby may be a bit of a strange dude, but he's no dummy. Incidentally, just another random fact, there's a lot of old guard actors in this. Russ Tamblyn, the actor who plays Dr. Jacoby, is the father of Amber Tamblyn, who's also quite a well-known actress. I don't know if she's done anything too huge, but she's been in quite a lot over time. So Dr. Jacoby is no dummy, so he is coming to where he knows Maddie will be, although of course he still believes she's Laura. He's hiding in the bushes and he has a good look at her. He gets completely shocked and he's about to get up and go to her when he suddenly gets jumped from behind and knocked to the ground. He's lying on the ground staring at Maddie/Laura the whole time while he's getting a bit of a beat down. He sees James and Donna pull up on James's motorcycle. Then Maddie gets in the car and they all drive off. We see that it looks like a large bulky man in a black ski mask who's been laying into poor Dr. Jacoby. As the doctor watches Maddie and Donna and James leave, he goes, "No, no," and he rolls over onto his back and he stares into the sky. The camera zooms very closely into his staring eye, which is kind of creepy, and we don't know what kind of state the poor doc is in right now. His eye becomes a spinning roulette wheel as we return once again to One-Eyed Jack's. Ed is talking to one of the hostess ladies. He finishes talking to her and he walks up to Dale, who's busy playing blackjack with Jacques Renault as his dealer. Dale has 18 and he asks for another card. Jacques asks him, "Are you sure about that?" Because in blackjack generally you don't hit over 16 or 17 if you're very brave. But Dale, he says he's always been lucky. So he asks for a card and he gets a 3, which gives him 21. Jacques turns over his 2 cards and he's got 2 picture cards, so he's on 20. Dale tells Jacques that his mother told him he was always born lucky. One of the hostesses walks up and whispers to Dale, obviously propositioning him. He says, "Maybe later, but thanks for asking." Dale is nothing if not polite. Good old Agent Cooper. Dale gives Jacques Renault the broken casino chip, the $1,000 chip with the piece missing out of it. That was the piece that was found in Laura Palmer's stomach. He offers to buy Jacques Renault a cocktail. He claims to be a friend of Leo. He says the chip is a gift from Leo. We see a shot of Dale on camera, on a security camera. We have Blackie, the One-Eyed Jack's manager. She's playing solitaire and watching the security cameras. Audrey comes in dressed in a very white, very revealing outfit. Obviously, as the new girl, they're going for a sort of virginal look, I guess. But, she's a naughty girl, and they think she's an experienced working girl. Audrey sees Dale on the monitor, and she looks a little bit disturbed. Blackie asks her if anything's right. Right, she says no, it's fine. Blackie tells her that the owner's coming by later and he likes to spend some time with the new girls. Audrey asks who's that, and Blackie says we don't know names here, so in other words, mind your own business. Blackie tells Audrey to pick a card, who carefully goes through the pile and pulls out a queen of diamonds. We then see Ed and Hawk in the van are listening to Dale, who's having his cocktail with Jacques Renault. Jacques says that he knows that Dale is a card counter, but he didn't say anything because it's not very often that he gets such good tips. Dale asks if Leo's ever mentioned him. Obviously he's pretending to be I think he's pretending to be the main man on campus that is the power behind Leo to try and get some interest out of Jacques. He's playing on Jacques' emotions, saying how he and his brother Bernard were the ones that take all the risks with the drug smuggling. Dale takes the chip, and he asks Jacques why he thinks it's special. Jacques takes a good look at it and realizes that it's got the chip taken out of it, and Dale asks him to tell him about the night at the cabin. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the story because it gets kind of gross and graphic and disturbing, and if you're still awake now, I don't want to keep you awake. But let's just say Laura was a naughty girl who was up for quite a lot, but sometimes things went a little bit wrong. Dale pretends he has a job for Jacques, offers him $10,000, half now and half on completion once he gets to the water treatment plant. He wants him to meet him there in 2 hours. We find out that the reason Laura's got bites from the bird was that the bird actually really liked Laura, but while she was engaged in some naughty activities, it landed on her and started to bite her playing. Leo, I'm not going to go into too much detail. The bird was trying to play, but she was restrained consensually, and it gets a little bit weird here. Note here, I can't read it all. I think I'm just writing here that I'm not going to write down the whole rest of the story. We see Audrey. She's being dressed up now by some other hostesses. Playing card theme is being played up. She hears in the mirror, she hears the voices of Blackie and a man who must be the mysterious owner that she is about to meet. We cut now to the Johnson house, where there's a view through the kitchen window. It's one of those creepy views that I've noticed pops up every now and then, as though someone's lurking outside the window, watching Shelley, who's going to wash her hair in the kitchen sink. She puts her gun down next to the sink. She's obviously still very nervous that Leo's going to be coming after her, which what we know about Leo seems entirely possible. She's got the gun and then she's got a towel next to it. She gets some soap in her eyes and she reaches for the towel, but the towel gets pulled away. Creepy. As she's sort of looking at what's going on, Leo grabs her from behind. We go now to Harry and Andy, who are waiting in a sheriff's department pickup truck at the water treatment plant. They're waiting for Jacques Renault to pop up for the job that Dale was paying him for. Harry asks Andy if she's spoken about Lucy. Andy mentions being a police officer. He's like, that is a cold trail. I don't know what is going on. Jacques Renault arrives and several police vehicles come bursting out of the darkness. Lights are blazing as he gets out of his car, and they start to restrain him to arrest him. He fights back and he gets a police officer's gun. He points it at Harry, and when suddenly a single shot rings out, Jacques Renault collapses, and we see that Andy has just suddenly, out of the blue, made a fantastic shot. Like, well done, Andy, considering he couldn't hold a gun like the day before. Then we go to Donna's house, where we hear the doc answer the phone. Donna says the coast is clear, so they play the tape that they found in the coconut. Laura mentions on the tape about how sweet James is, but how dumb he is, and she just can't do sweet and dumb anymore. She mentions a mystery man who is very dangerous, but she likes that. If she tells Dr. Jacoby who it is, he would be in danger. So, obviously someone very dangerous. And again, we see Laura as not the little ingenue that most of the town says they think she is. She does, however, mention that her mystery man has a red Corvette, which we already know Leo Johnson has a red Corvette. So, well, 1 and 1 is adding up here quite simply right now. Although I'm wondering if anything's quite as easy as it seems. Doc calls out to Donna, saying that he's got an emergency at the hospital. We know a couple of things have gone down, so we're not sure exactly which one he's going for. But he leaves. Donna tells James that she's sorry about what they heard, but he's actually relieved because he knows now that Laura never really cared about him, so he sort of is freed from the burden of his relationship with her. They reach the conclusion that Dr. Jacoby is not the killer. He really did want to help her in his own way. Help Laura, that is, obviously. But they are mystified as to how exactly he got the missing necklace. We go now to the mill. We've been building up towards a fire at the mill for a while now. We see Leo is prepping the fire. He's emptying gas cans all over the place. Shelley is tied up, and Leo says how she broke his heart and he's going to make her pay. He sets a really lousy looking timer with a kitchen timer. Doesn't look very robust at all, but sometimes simplest works pretty well. He tells her, think about what you did and think about Bobby, because by the time this goes off, basically Bobby's going to be dead. We then go to Ed and Nadine's house, where she lays out a picnic blanket. She's dressed in what looks like a wedding dress, beautiful satiny outfit dress. Don't think it was quite white, it looks like a cream color. She gets down on her knees, sort of crouches down like she's preparing a ritual. She empties 2 whole bottles of pills out onto a little tray and a bottle of water. She seems to be really upset about the drapes. Obviously her life has been quite sad and full of disappointment, and now these oil-soaked cotton ball drape runners has been the final straw for her. I've been joking about the drapes the whole time, but she's obviously a woman in deep pain, so this is rather sad. That scene doesn't last very long though, where we go to the Packard house. The pacing on this show is quite interesting. It's written and directed by Mark Frost, the co-creator of the show, who's not David Lynch. And just thinking about it, I think it's one of the better paced episodes in the first season. Some of the scenes last a little bit longer. There's not quite so many cuts between scenes, and they just hang on a little bit, but then there's these little interspersed ones that sort of break up the pace and make it move a little bit faster. It's quite a well put together episode of TV. We're back at the Packard house, where Josie is busy paying Hank. She pays him $90,000. He tries to shake her down for more money, because we find out that he went to jail to cover something. It starts to emerge that he actually killed Josie's husband. He went down for manslaughter rather than being a murder suspect. I don't know the exact timeline of these events. This sounds a little bit complicated, but I'm sure in later episodes this will emerge. He tries very hard to shake her down. He refers to the boating accident, which obviously we're coming to realize is not an accident at all. The boating accident, obviously, that killed Josie's husband. There's an interesting little shot here, actually, where Josie's standing and Hank walks up behind her, and he steps his head in front of a deer's head on the wall, and it looks like he's got horns. I don't think a shot like that would happen accidentally. It doesn't exactly look like devil horns, because they're deer horns rather than goat horns. But it's definitely a rather menacing look. Again, he's pushing her for more money initially, because he's given up 18 months of his life, and suddenly $90,000 doesn't seem worthwhile, especially when, if the truth comes out, he can be in jail for a lot longer. He tells Josie that once you're in business with him, you're in business forever. He holds her hand initially quite tenderly, and then tightly, and then he takes a knife out and cuts her thumb and cuts his thumb, making a sort of ritualistic blood bond. Hank is a deeply strange person who, when he feels like it, can be extremely charming. So I'm sure as the show runs on, we're going to find out exactly how dangerous he is. Back to the mill once again. Catherine is busy searching around the offices, the accounting office, looking for the cooked ledger, or the true ledger, the one that she hasn't cooked. Pete comes to calm her down. She accuses him of helping Josie to destroy her. Obviously, they've married for a long time, but their relationship is rather fraught. So she's throwing accusations around. We know that Pete likes Josie and does want to help her, but I don't think he would want to destroy his own wife. They may not be close anymore, but at some stage in life they were. She really turns the charm on him with him to try get him to help her. She talks about their past, how much they were in love. She was the boss's daughter. He was the working class guy that they fell in love initially. She says that she's in big trouble and he's her only help. Eventually, after a lot of pushing, he buys it. He cries because she's asking for him for help. So he holds on to her, but she looks over her shoulder and she's basically rolling her eyes at how stupid he is to fall for her nonsense. I gotta say, it was a really good performance. The actress that plays Catherine Martell, Piper Laurie, if I remember correctly, is a fantastic actress. Yes, Piper Laurie. We go back to the sheriff's office, where Ed and Hawk are talking about Andy saving Harry's life by gunning down Jacques Renault. Andy gives Lucy the eye. She walks past and she goes into a sort of little kitchenette thing with her, and he follows her in. There's running blind sort of thing that they close. Andy's getting quite excited after shooting a person, and he kisses Lucy. They kiss quite sweetly for a while, and when Lucy pulls away, and she tells Andy that she's pregnant. The blinds open. Andy walks out looking shell-shocked, and doesn't meet anyone's eyes and just walks out of the room. Lucy comes out, she tells everyone that there's fresh coffee, and then she goes to her desk just to get down to work. I'm guessing for some reason that if Lucy's pregnant and Andy's this upset, it's probably not his kid. But I'm not sure. The phone at the police station rings and Lucy answers. It's Bobby on the phone, who claims to be Leo. He tells Lucy to tell the sheriff that they need to check out James, what's his name? And then hangs up when Lucy's trying to get more information. We see Harry and Dale at the office where they're busy interrogating Jacques Renault, who's in his hospital bed. They ask about the photos and the ads in the personal magazine. It emerges that those photos and the ads were Laura's idea, and she persuaded Renette Pulaski to take part and advertise herself in it as well. Dale asks what Jacques and Leo fought about. Jacques just said that Leo hit him with a whiskey bottle, but he had no idea why. He went outside, passed out, and when he woke up, Leo and the girls were gone. He knew nothing about anything about a train, which recall it was burnt out train was the signs of where Renette and Laura had been. There was no vehicle, so he had to walk 15 miles home. Jacoby is in bed asleep. He was brought in ranting and raving about the incredible things that he saw. Good old Doc Donna's dad is sitting at his bedside. Obviously, Jacoby's been ranting about having seen Laura Palmer, and everyone knows that Laura Palmer's dead, so what are you talking about, Dr. Jacoby? That's impossible. Dale and Harry are walking through the passages of the hospital. They say that it looks like Leo must have taken the girls to the train by himself, and Jacques will testify against Leo. Doc comes out and tells Dean and Harry about Dr. Jacoby, about what happened to him, and what he saw, what he believed he saw. We then go to Catherine, who's tearing apart the library. I think it's at the Packard house. Peter's helping, but he's not being much of a help. He's found his old yearbook. The phone rings and Catherine goes to answer it. A voice tells her that what you're looking for is at the mall. The person on the other end puts the phone down and we see it's Hank. Hank's out of jail and everything is really going down right now. This man is big trouble. Catherine goes out of the library, she takes out a gun and she leaves. We're back at the diner when Norma is busy cashing up. Hank is chatting, very friendly, not as if he's plotting all sorts of nefarious deeds. And he's talking about being in prison and how while he was in prison on the thin mattress, he dreamed of her in the big feather bed. He apologizes for being forward because he has no right to talk about her that way. They are obviously still married, but he's making out like he feels bad for abandoning her for what happened. Of course, Hank is a bad dude, but he's really putting on the charm. We found out that they've been together 20 years next month, and he goes in for a kiss, which she allows. She knows he's bad news. She's known him for 20 years, but I guess there's still feelings there after all. Ed gets home looking quite happy about the night he's had. He's had quite an adventure. He's calling out for Nadine, but he finds her in the sitting room on the blankets, passed out. He runs up to her, tries to wake her up, realizes something's wrong, grabs the phone, calls the ambulance, and he holds her very tenderly and quite beautifully. Like, I know he was having a fling with Norma, but I think Ed's a good guy, and there was a part of him that really did care about his wife. Harry gets to the police station, where he gets the message from Lucy about Leo phoning to check and look into James's bike. Lucy comes across as a bit of a dilly woman, but she has hidden depths. She says she heard a clock in the background, which she thinks was at Easter Park. So, yeah, she's quite a handy person to have on the phone. Right after Harry got the tip about James comes walking in to see him. Leland also comes in. Leland Palmer also comes in. He's heard that the murderer has been caught. They say that they've got somebody, but he's just a witness. Yeah, they say they have someone in custody, but he's just a witness. And they walk out of the room. Surely by now they should have realized you don't leave Leland Palmer alone, because he looks into the middle distance with like flashing crazy eyes. And he goes, "Hospital," and he turns to leave. James gives Dale the tape that they got from Jacoby's office and mentions that the tape mentions a red Corvette. Dale tells James that Dr. Jacoby had a heart attack. Do you know anything about that sort of implication? And tells James that he's playing a dangerous game. James, however, being a sweet boy, if rather stupid, as Laura says, is concerned about Dr. Jacoby. He hopes it didn't contribute to his heart attack. Harry comes in with the plastic envelope with drugs, which they pulled out of James's motorcycle tank. Obviously, James is surprised because Bobby put them there. Then we go to One-Eyed Jacks. The gentleman from Iceland, the head of the delegation, and Ben Horn are busy signing their contract for the estate and golf course or whatever it is they're planning on putting on the grounds of the mall. Ben gets a call where it's Hank telling Ben that Leo is about to get home and he's going to get a house call. We then go to the Johnson house where Bobby walks in the door looking for Shelley and Leo jumps him from behind the door. I'm assuming he'd heard him coming, or he'd been lurking behind the door for a couple of hours probably. Leo goes after Bobby with an axe, and things are not looking good for Bobby when suddenly a shot rings out and Leo sits on his couch and stares out the window. Bobby looks out the window and sees Hank, who for some reason decides to not do anything to Bobby. Leo sits on the couch watching the TV, which is on at the moment. It's showing the soap opera Invitation to Love, and the action on that is basically reflecting exactly what's happening in his house. Back to the mill again with a ticking timer. Shelley is still tied up when Catherine walks in. She's surprised to see a tied up girl in the mill, but when suddenly the timer goes off and the fire starts. Catherine starts interrogating Shelley, asking who she is and what she's doing there. Initially Shelley tries to communicate with her, but she's got a gag on, and Catherine tells her, "Don't be silly, you've got one of those things in your mouth." Quite a strange, also surprisingly humorous scene if you've got a bit of a dark sense of humor. And she goes and gets an axe and cuts the ropes to get Shelley free. We go back to the hospital. Someone pulls the fire alarm. If you're paying any attention, you'd probably guess that it's Leland who's there, but it is someone with a dark coat who tapes up Jacques Renault's free hand and puts a pillow over his face and smothers him. And yes, it is Leland Palmer getting revenge for his daughter on some random person who, to be fair, was involved, but it was not the killer. We go back to the mill again, where we see the shed is on fire. Pete recognizes Catherine's car outside the mill shed, and he says that she's my wife, I've got to go get her out, even if she's if there's any doubt, if he thinks that she's there. We go back to One-Eyed Jack, where contracts are now signed. Ben gives the man from Iceland a hostess and a whole lot of Wacker chips and a cigar. They are now celebrating the signing of this contract. We find out Blackie walks up and calls him boss. At this point it emerges obviously that Ben is quite the entrepreneur. I mean, he owns the hotel, he owns the department store, and he owns the biggest brothel nearby in Canada. Brothel/casino. He wants to go see the new girl, which of course is Audrey. This is probably going to be quite an interesting situation when it happens. She's been popped up looking all sexy. She sees Ben coming in the mirror. We cut to the hallway at the Great Northern Hotel. Dale once again is on his dictaphone talking to Diane, talking about the investigation. He mentions that it's quiet, the Icelanders aren't around, but he thanks her for the earbuds which arrived, the earplugs. He doesn't know if he'll need them, but maybe he will, because the Icelanders are probably going to come back. He goes to his room, he picks up a note on the floor as he walks in. Notes under the door are a bit of a theme in the show. He's busy waiting for some room service, some warm milk. The phone rings. He listens. He says, look, this can wait till morning. So he puts the phone down. He doesn't hang up. He just puts it down on the counter. And we can hear a voice in the background saying, don't go, Leo Johnson got shot. Dale answers his door, expecting room service with his hot milk. Instead, there's a person in a dark coat with a gun who shoots him a couple of times, and we cut to credits. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Sleepy Time Tales podcast, the sleep aid podcast designed around a bedtime story to help you to get a restful night. New episodes will be released every Sunday night to give you something fresh to help you rest in the new week. But make sure to subscribe in whatever service you use so that you get your new episodes and maybe the odd bonus whenever they come out. A reminder that the music for tonight is Desert by Kumiko. Check out more of their work on their website and their Patreon, which you'll find linked in the show notes. Good night and sweet dreams.